24, 286 yards, 3 touchdowns. Still a dude.
It's better than this. Guys being dudes.
Matt Ryan,
That's a dude.
Heisman Trophy. Bronco Nagurski Award.
Ultimate dudes.
Raji on my left,
Herzlich on my right. 2 dudes. O-line you. Bunch of dudes.
dudes to the right, dudes to the left, stuck in the middle with you.
WZBC, the Boston College Radio Network, the voice of the Eagles.
Welcome to Two Dudes Sports Show here on another Thursday night on WZBC 90.3 AM station. I'm Quinn Kelly here with my partner TJ Hartnett, and we are ready to get going to you live for another Thursday night show. How are you tonight, TJ?
I'm doing fine. Ready to talk about, now that football's over, some other things other than football. Obviously, we're a heavily based football show, but we'll talk about a lot of basketball tonight regarding some of the players in the NBA. We have some interesting stories surrounding the New York Knicks, one of the NBA's worst teams, and probably one of the NBA's most overrated players, in my opinion. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about Boston College basketball because I know everyone's thrilled to talk about Boston College basketball in the area. I'm a huge fan of the program, but obviously I will have my fun in ripping it to shreds tonight, presumably. And then where else? Who knows where else it will take us? We got about an hour. With football. Yeah, February is a very dull month with sports.
It really is. Nothing going
other
on.
than you got a little NHL, you got a little. BC hockey, obviously, making a push right now for the NCAA tournament. So we'll see where it takes us. But if you want to start with Carmelo Anthony, we'll talk about the man, the myth, the legend over in New York town.
All right, sounds good. So Carmelo came out today with a very interesting report. And just really a horrible quote to add to his legacy of self-centeredness and the like. Carmelo, for those of you who don't know, has been down with injury for a number of weeks, has been having trouble staying on the court, and decided he would come out yesterday, Wednesday, and say that he will be back for the All-Star game. And he will play in the All-Star game, which is Sunday. Now, the All-Star game is at Madison Square Garden, home of the Knicks. And this is usually, every year, Carmelo's time of the year to make a failed pitch to get somebody to come join him and his team. He's clearly just not the salesman that D. Wade is or that Paul Pierce was in Boston, because nobody seems to want to join Carmelo out in New York. The story really is, though, that one, of course, you're out for so long and then decide that you're going to come back for the All-Star game is just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And two, he will likely be shut down after the All-Star game. So he's going to come back just for the All-Star game and then shut it down right after that. Now, the quote says, I hope to play, or I'll definitely be back for the game Sunday. I want to play a couple of minutes. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Sends a horrible, horrible message to your team that you don't care at all about the team during the regular season, and you're only concerned with personal accolades and such. Just not an unexpected move, but an absolutely disgusting move by Carmelo.
Obviously, being a Brooklyn Nets fan, and before that a New Jersey Nets fan, I've never been a fan of Carmelo Anthony. I'm not a fan of Syracuse. So everything he's done, really, he's never been on my side ever with any of the teams he's joined or the mentality that he plays with. When he was obviously in free agency looking for a team to go to, did I want him to come to New Jersey? Of course. Was he going to come to New Jersey? No. Obviously, there was like a day of report where everybody was like, yeah, maybe. And then it was like, no. Obviously, New Jersey wasn't a desirable market for him. New York was. So he was the person who was going to turn around the Knicks organization, and he hasn't done it. The Knicks have yet to make the playoffs, and if they do, they're a very late seed in the game, and they don't do anything once they're there. With an Eastern Conference that has the likes of the Heat, the Cavs, the Bulls, the Wiz have made a rising, the Raptors, the Hawks, one of the hottest teams in the league right now, you're not even going to come close to even competing with any of these teams. And that's why they're in last place. I mean, it makes sense. So I've never been a fan of Carmelo. Obviously, like you said, his demeanor on the court is never one to be recognized with honor. I don't think he ever plays his heart out. Does he get stuff done? Yeah, but I mean, when you take 95 shots a night, I'm assuming that as an NBA All-Star player, you can knock down a few. So I'm just not a fan of Carmelo, and this is another thing that just when you're on a team that's not doing well, he's already abandoned ship. I'm sure. I mean, I'm not gonna question his integrity and his character, but is he probably that hurt? Probably not. He's a person that right now the organization he's on is a joke, and he's not going to jump back on board until he's competing against a good team and they can go out there and maybe get a win, or they put people around him, or he leaves. Yeah. That's his position right now. He's on a team that is the worst in the league. They're the worst team in the league, record-wise, the people they start-wise. Without Carmelo, I mean, they take a huge dip down, but even with Carmelo, it's not doing much. I mean, Kobe's one of the best players of all time, but because he's on the Lakers and can't do much more, obviously he's hurt too, but it's one of those moves from Carmelo that I'm not surprised at all, where he's going to play in this star-studded game. He's not going to attract anybody to New York because they know he's not playing for the rest of the season. That's first. He's not going to come in the future. He had Amari. He could have done things with Amari. He had Raymond Felton, who's not much, but he had Raymond Felton. He had Amari. He had Tyson Chandler. You look at Tyson Chandler, Amari Stoudemire, and Carmelo Anthony. That's somebody who could have got the job done. Are they perfect all-star players? No. But they are great NBA talent. Every single one of them was made an all-star game. I don't know how many are on the roster this year. I know Carmelo did not deserve to make the team this year too. Neither of them are on it. But in years past, they both have been. I know Tyson Chandler's playing his heart out down in Dallas. So, I mean, as a whole, I'm not surprised the Carmelo Anthony move. I can't stand him as a player. I used to have a lot of respect for Derrick Rose, but Derrick Rose, I mean, he's honestly doing the same thing too. I mean, he's hurt, but he went through a very, very different injury than Carmelo, but it's the same thing. It's just people who aren't going to get the job done for you anymore. No. I know Carmelo's not going to win a championship with him at the helm leading. You put him on a team with LeBron, sure, he can ride his way to a championship all he wants. That's what Chris Bosh did.
There's no to an extent.
Chris Bosh didn't do anything in Toronto.
Oh, in Toronto.
Yeah,
no, okay.
It's the same thing.
He was an all-star in Toronto.
Yeah,
he was a fabulous player.
That's what Carmelo is in New York, in my opinion.
Okay, I can see that. I mean,
except that it's different positions.
Right. I would say that there's no arguing that Carmelo is a good player. He was and
Carmelo's one of the best players in the league.
Yeah.
But his demeanor and his mentality is disgusting.
Right. I think my biggest issue with Carmelo is, like I said earlier, year in and year out, he goes to the All-Star game and he, talks with all his buddies whose contracts are up and he tries to get them to come there. And it doesn't happen.
No.
Consistently does not happen. For whatever reason. I mean, I feel like New York's a good market.
It's a fantastic market. Right. Who wouldn't want to play in New York?
I don't know. And now you got Phil Jack there, so...
Yeah.
It
doesn't make any sense to me why you wouldn't want to be a Knick.
But I was having this... You had said earlier that that you didn't think it was bothering him, like he wasn't too upset that they're out of it. Yeah. And I'd agree with you. I don't think he's upset.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't go as far to say that he's not frustrated. Now, not for the right reasons, but with this, I think, and I had this discussion with somebody a few days back in terms of, in this era of the NBA, how do you build a championship team? Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem, at least to me, and you can counter this if you'd like, it doesn't seem to me like you can really do it just through the draft. I think that everybody has taken the mindset that to get into contention, you need to go out and make trades for big-name players.
You're saying in what? In what retrospect? Because I'd say the Spurs, obviously.
Right. The Spurs, but they were a team that was built built 10
before,
years
so you're
ago.
saying
I'm
right
saying
now,
in the last 5 years and going forward.
I think we haven't given it a chance because we're in a different mentality now, and I completely agree with you. We're in a different type of mindset now. Back in the day, and I ranted about this on Sports Saturday once when I did it alone. It was great. Back in the day, and I said I missed this a lot because unfortunately for us, I think college basketball is 10 times greater than the NBA. I think it is so much better.
I would agree with that.
Back in the day, I think it's the other way around. I think college basketball is still good back in the day, But with the likes of Magic Johnson going up against Larry Bird, people who, if you lost a game to anybody, were just pissed. Like, beyond belief pissed.
There was a lot of heart in the game.
There was a lot of heart. There were hard
appear
fouls.
That way.
You don't get that anymore because everybody's buddy-buddy, and they want to go trade and go to different teams so that they can get stuff done. The only person, honestly, right now that has pure, 100% heart, that plays his heart out, who plays hard and will talk trash to anybody on the court is Kobe Bryant, in my opinion.
Really?
I don't think there's anybody. I think there's superficial people. There's a lot of superficial people. And I think there's a lot of talent. And I think there's a lot of heart. But I'm talking about like an old school player, the way that they used to play back in the day with hard fouls. Kobe Bryant talked trash to his own team. That's where he was in his.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that's because of Kobe's heart. More Kobe's just like a crotchety old.
He's getting up there, and he's understanding that he's not the player he used to be.
No,
but I think everybody should play like him. Well, I would be so much happier if, Kevin Garnett, for example.
That's what I was going to say.
Kevin Garnett went off on Dwight Howard the other day. I'm sure they're buddy too, but
I don't think so.
No, I don't think Kevin Garnett, because Kevin Garnett wants to go out there and win a game. He doesn't give about anybody.
Right. So this is what I was going to say. I think that Kobe had. There are people. If that's what we were going to describe Kobe, I think that there are people, and obviously, the first two examples that come to mind are going to seem. Sure. Going to seem tilted because I'm from Boston. Yeah. But I think Kevin Garnett still plays that way. I agree with that. I think Paul Pierce still plays that way. Too. I think it's the guys who were before this new wave of me just jump 1 year of college basketball and jump out. Now,
there are other people than Kobe. No, I agree. Well, once you name names, yeah. But I mean, use LeBron, for example.
Right. LeBron's a different animal.
No. Look at anybody, though. Anybody, from the LeBron era.
No, it's true. From that draft class on.
The older, yeah.
Everybody talks about that being the greatest draft class in NBA history. You had LeBron, Melo, I think Wade was that draft, Bosh was that draft.
If not, they're around there, yeah.
Just an incredible, incredible group of talent. But I really think that draft is kind of the changing of the guard. You have such a collection of superstars from that draft who each and every one of them does not fit the mold of an old-style NBA player who's going out there day in and day out to win a championship. Yes. LeBron was not going day in and day out to win a championship.
He still isn't.
Okay? He had to go down to Miami to win a championship. Mm-hmm. And it's not about... It's about immediate gratification for them. It's the same mindset with these kids who say, let me go to college 1 year and then go straight to the NBA.
Yeah.
Now, that's fine in of itself. I understand that you want to start making money. But then when that mentality transitions into the NBA, you get stuff like LeBron trading away Andrew Wiggins and Anthony Bennett, two top picks in the draft, for Kevin Love because he has to win right now. Yeah. I've said this so many times, and I will say it again. I do not understand why, if you're the Cavaliers management, I understand why, because you've gotten LeBron. But if you're LeBron, why trade away Andrew Wiggins? You are unequivocally the best player in the game right now. The closest thing to you is Kevin Durant, and I'm sorry, it just doesn't compare. LeBron is undoubtedly the best player in the game right now. Agreed. And you have the best young athlete, the best raw talent that the NBA has seen in a while coming up in Andrew Wiggins. Why would you not take a couple of years and develop Andrew Wiggins so that when you start aging LeBron, you have a team built around you who can still compete for games, and the load doesn't fall on your shoulders? Because that's the thing with Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant demands this high salary. He does not have a team around him. Mm-hmm. Okay? He hasn't had young players stay there and develop. That's why he's sitting here now at approaching 40 years old. His body's breaking down, and he doesn't compete anymore. He doesn't have a team that can compete and probably won't have a team that will compete for the rest of his career. Mm. If LeBron, obviously he has Kyrie, so he's got a young guy. Kevin Love's in the middle of the two. Yeah. He's young enough where when LeBron gets older, but I'm sorry, is Kevin Love going to stay there for the duration of LeBron's period?
I don't, I agree with you in the fact that I understand what LeBron's doing. I know what why he did it. It makes sense because people in Cleveland don't want to wait 3 years for a championship. They don't. They're happy LeBron's back, but they want to win now. They want to win this year. Yeah. That's the way that the NBA mindset is. When you bring in new talent, when you bring in new people, you have to get the job done in 2 years. You have to. And that's what LeBron was thinking. He's like, all right, I'm coming. Guess what? We already have Kyrie there because, who knows? If you had Kyrie, Bennett, Wiggins, Thompson, that's a young team that you give 3 years to develop, 2 years to develop. Probably one of the best teams in the East.
Yeah, they're definitely competing. When you look at Andrew Wiggins, he's tearing it up right now.
But nobody wants... I mean, I'm going to say that wrong. People want to see Andrew Wiggins, but, people want to see LeBron over him. So when they had the chance to get LeBron, they're like, all right, we got to lock this down in 2 years. Let's get someone else because Wiggins plays a close play style LeBron. They play the same way, play the same position type thing. So they had to get somebody else. So they go and get Kevin Love. I don't understand the Kevin Love pick, other than the fact that he's a deep three shooter, which is different from Kyrie and LeBron. And I guess that's what Miami kind of did too, with D. Wade running the point, LeBron being the guy in the middle, and then Bosh being the guy down low. And then you had Ray Allen as a three-point shooter. So same thing here. It's like Thompson, LeBron, Kyrie, and Love. And you tried to build that again, and Love being your three-point shooter. But overall, I completely agree with you in the fact that why would you ship your team? It's because they want to win now. That's your quick answer. And I mean, why do you need Kevin Love? Why couldn't you do it with Wiggins? I don't know. It's definitely possible. It's just that sometimes picks don't plan out, aka Greg Oden.
No, for sure. Yeah,
happens, I mean, Wiggins had. You can't predict it. And that's why I love teams like Golden State. I love teams like Washington. All teams that build from the ground up. Every single one of those players started on those teams, basically. You have one
the
guy
big
who
players,
you brought.
The key players,
Yeah. Steph Curry was through the draft. Klay Thompson was through the draft. David Lee was from New York. I don't even know who else on that team that's good. There's tons of players. But, Washington, John Wall was through the draft. Bradley Beal was through the draft. You got Marcin Gortat. You have Nene. It was just, I love those teams. I would rather have those. Look at Atlanta, too. Teague through the draft. Yep. Horford through the draft. You have big name players that you got. So I still think it's possible.
Yeah.
I just think that these other teams overshadow, a.k.a. Chicago, a.k.a. Miami, a.k.a. Cleveland. And then the only one that stands out is the Spurs because they were completely built to the draft.
Right. I'm just saying, if we look back at the last 5 years.
No, you're right.
I can't recall 5 years back, but if you look, it was Mavericks, Heat, San Antonio. Mavericks and San Antonio are two teams who were older teams who had those
Mavericks
rosters developed before this whole age.
Yep.
And you had the Heat in the 2 years in between who were constructed teams.
Yep.
Through trades. Until I see a team like Golden State,
win it,
like Atlanta, like who do we got in the East? Like
Washington.
the Wizards. Once they can
Raptors.
win it,
Raptors built to the draft. Too.
Yeah. Once they can win it, then that's fine. I'll say you're over the hump.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we're in an era anymore.
No one can close it.
Where, no one can close it right now, but I think dynasties become very hard.
Yeah.
It's hard enough to win back-to-back years. So what the Heat did, making it to 4 straight finals, that's great, okay? Yep. That's impressive. That's fine. It's not a dynasty. You won 2, okay? And there wasn't any duration to it. You were done after the 4 years. A dynasty is a decade long, and you're not going to find a team that's going to be even with Golden State right now. Okay, now I'm not saying Steph Curry personally or Klay Thompson personally or Monte's not there anymore. I'm not saying any one of those players specifically, but I'm just saying if they continue for more than 3 years, 2 years maybe, to be good, somebody's going to leave. There's just no way that they're going to be able to give them all the contracts that they want.
It's true. You have people move. That's what happens.
Right. Once you start.
Iguodala, that was a big guy.
Iggy, yeah.
Iguodala's on the team. Sean Livingston's a fantastic defensive guy. There's tons of people. Bogut. They're just an overall built team that they're built from the ground up team, and that's why I love them. I love Golden State. I love what Steph Curry does. Same thing. You have the same thing in Washington with John Wall at the helm. Teams like that get it done. And unfortunately, if you want to tie it in, you want to bring it all the way back around for the Knicks. they're not going to get it done.
Yeah,
They're going to have a top pick this year.
This was where it was going. They're going to have a top.
They're going to have a top pick this year, but who's going to go? So just say they do get the number one, but knowing the Knicks like they won't. Somebody else will get it. Just say they do get the number one, they pick Okafor.
Sure.
Okafor is by far and large best player in this draft.
Yep.
I've watched him play. He's unbelievable. Karl Towns is slated to go number 2. Shout out to New Jersey. He's another one of those players. I don't think he would handle New York well. I think Okafor would. So just say you get Okafor. That's a center right there that you have around Carmelo. But knowing the Knicks, they would ship Okafor for two side players. But just say Okafor stays. So you have Okafor, and then you have to convince Carmelo to stay, to be with Okafor and rise with him. It's
a process.
And Okafor's not gonna. Yeah,
no, he's not gonna come in and be ready.
Yeah, the only team right now that is absolutely prospering from a number one, no, I wouldn't say that, because John Wall was number 1 pick and they're doing great. Anthony Davis is taking over a team right now.
Yeah, he is. But they're still on the bubble.
They're
sitting at 9 right now.
He's top MVP watch right now.
Oh yeah, that's all
Griffin and the Clippers, another team that's built from the ground up. Other than Chris Paul, but that whole team was built from the ground up with DeAndre Jordan.
Yes, but Chris Paul is a huge centerpiece. I wouldn't put them in that category. Okay. If you look at a team that's top 3 players, you can say we're through the draft. Mm-hmm. The thing is with the Knicks, I think they're in a position where it's going to be a couple years before they're really in contention for anything, because they're not. For whatever reason, if they haven't yet, they're still not going to get a big free agent signing. It's just not going to happen. They don't have a collection of picks over the next couple of years.
No.
So number one rarely is going to be what gets it done, what moves you over the hump, if you're this far back.
Look at Cleveland. Look how bad Cleveland was after LeBron left.
Yeah.
And they just stacked. They did stack city. They got Kyrie, they got Bennett, and they got Wiggins. Shipped 2 of them and brought in LeBron and Love, and now they're one of the best teams. So you can do it that way. Yeah. I'd rather you do it the other way. I love when teams build from within. But, Knicks get Okafor. You have Okafor, and Okafor starts to prove himself. He's not going to do it first year. But if he starts to prove himself in the least bit, if you can, what's the word? I guess market. First of all, you have New York, Carmelo, and Okafor. If you can market that, I can't see why anybody wouldn't want to come. That's all you need is one free agent to come, and you'd have the big 3 right there, if Okafor lives up to his potential. I don't know.
Yeah,
I honestly don't know what to do in New York, but I don't know if I don't know if Carmelo is helping.
No, that's the thing. I
think
wonder
Carmelo
if there's
has to start
something.
Over.
I just wonder if there's something about him that's the reason.
I think he's going to start over. I think he's going to leave the Knicks.
You think so?
Yeah, and if he doesn't, he's gonna be with the process. But I think he's just had too many. He's had too many issues. He's had too many issues, in my opinion. I just don't think, and I think it's one of the most attractive places to go. But over the years, it's been known as a death pit for these players.
Yeah, Amari didn't do anything once he got there.
No,
it's had some trouble.
They put up numbers, they make the All-Star team, and that's it because they're well-known players.
Yeah,
look at Kobe made the All-Star team this year, and he was pretty trash.
Yeah,
if you want to look at the All-Star roster, how many people actually deserve to be on it? I don't think Carmelo does. LeBron, obviously. Pau Gasol's just a big name. Is he having a great season? He's having a Pau season. John Wall deserves it. Kyle Lowry deserves it. Bosh, another big name that's going to make it regardless. Jimmy Butler, that's somebody who deserves it. Al Horford deserves it. Kyrie deserves it. Sort of. He's another big name recently. Kyle Korver, sneaky good. Paul Millsap, he deserves it. Look at the Hawks right there. The Hawks have Horford, Korver, Millsap, and Teague. That's a team that built from, not within, but they built with not big-name players. So Millsap's through the Teague and Horford are through the draft. Millsap and Korver are through trades, but Korver just bounces every other year.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting. And the West is so much better than the East. That's the crazy part.
Well, the crazy part is that being how much better the West has been in the East, and this year it's a little bit different.
Trailblazers are another team.
Yeah. This year it's a little bit different. I mean, the East is starting to get a little bit better, but if you look at like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, why Melo could not win in that East? Like it seemed like you needed a one superstar team to be in the top 4 seeds. I mean,
you didn't need much,
right?
Believe me, I had the Nets. We didn't have much, and we were just terrible. But I mean, I couldn't tell you. I mean, Knicks were just. I mean, it's hard to say what the problem in New York is. I mean, when you had a team with Tyson, Carmelo, and Stoudemire, how you couldn't. I'm not expecting you to beat the Heat, but at least make it to an area where you're going to make the playoffs and play somebody competitive.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't do it. So, I mean, the West is so much. I mean, the Clippers, the Grizzlies, the Warriors, the Trailblazers,
you look at just
the Spurs, the Thunder,
how many
the Rockets.
more teams are represented in that All-Star lineup.
Better, yeah.
There's like 4 in the East.
Yeah, it's true. And some of the players that even made it on that one didn't even deserve it. I mean, like Carmelo. I don't think Carmelo deserves it. And I think you put somebody off the roster. I couldn't name someone. I wish I had someone to name to put over him, but there's my opinion on that, and I think he just gets in because of his name, obviously. So I'm not surprised about what's going on. I'm sure he'll have a great game on for the All-Star game, and he won't come back. So not a good look for Carmelo at all. But anyway, I guess we'll jump into a team that's just like the Knicks. I have to readjust myself for this one.
Get ready, folks.
All right. Boston College.
Yep.
You can chime in with me. I don't have to go on a rant.
No, you can go on a rant.
No, not really. I mean, it's...
You'll have a couple points that I can play devil's advocate for.
No,
Get you going a little bit more.
You probably won't. No. All right, so let's look at this schedule. Okay. I won't even start with the first 8 games because I don't even count. But you lose a game, so you start off, first loss of the season is UMass, which is a team that originally was a top-tier team.
Yeah.
People actually thought of them as a top 25 team. Since then, really hasn't done much from that. But a loss is a loss. You go down, you play New Mexico, you get a big win. That was, when they won the New Mexico game, I was like, you know what? Maybe, granted we play in the best conference in basketball.
Yeah.
That could be an opinion, but honestly, it's probably a stat. When you have Virginia number 2, Duke number 4, Louisville number 9, Notre Dame number 10, and then UNC number 12. How do you beat that? You really can't. So then you lose to West Virginia, top tier team by 4, fine. You lose to Dayton, another team that's always like a bracket buster. Then you go on a little run. You beat Marist, Providence, Maine, Binghamton. Out of those teams, Providence is a great team. Providence that's a big win. And when I was there for that game, and I said, you know what? Looking pretty good. I was happy with that. Then we have USC at home lose in overtime, or lose in the final seconds. Watched it on TV. A little upset because USC is not a top tier team, but overall, let me fix the camera real quick. But I'll keep talking.
All right, yeah. Yeah, like you said, out of conference to start the season, we did play fairly well. I think out of conference we were like 7-4 maybe, which is all right. Good. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, back into it. Overall, going into ACC play, I was confident. We were scheduled to finish, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 3rd to last. And I believe Wake Forest and Georgia Tech were behind us, which I was okay with. So I'm not expecting us to be in the top tier of the ACC. I'm expecting us to be a bubble-bursting team that kills some big teams when it comes down to the wire and gets jobs done. So we start off with Duke. That's a tough team to open up with your ACC play. They're ranked number 4. We went down and we played them at Duke. I don't expect anything. We got smoked. I think we just beat the spread. Maybe missed it by a point. It was very upsetting. Regardless, I was not fazed by that game. I said to myself, you know what? It's Duke. I'm fine with it. Then you play Pitt at home. Pitt, subpar team that is exactly like us. In years past, they haven't been. They've been a very good team. But this year, exactly like us in busting teams' brackets. That's what they do. They go in there, team comes in, they beat them, and they kill them. And then you look at that and you're just like, you lost to Pitt. weird. Pitt's been always that team. They do it in football. They do it in basketball. In my opinion, they're not an elite program, but they just love to spoil teams' years. You play them at home. You have a 10-point lead. A 10-point lead with 3 minutes to go, and you lose in overtime on a missed layup. I literally cried. Because you could have gone 1-1 in ACC play. That's how you solidify a home win in the ACC in one of the toughest stretches you're going to have to play ever. You solidify a home win at home. Solidify the first home win, and you show the ACC you're here to play. And you lose it. You lose it. Beyond annoying. Beyond annoying. Then you go to Miami, and you lose by 4. To a Miami team that's, again, was ranked top 25 and has fallen very low. We play them again this Sunday. Do I think we're going to beat them this Sunday? With the way we've been playing, no. And I think we're a better team than them when we play at home. When we play there, I get it. Like, playing on the road is not our forte. I think we have 1 win on the road this year. It's disgusting. Then we play at home at Harvard. Little break from the ACC schedule. So we play 3 ACC teams in a row. We lose all 3. Play Harvard, and we beat them in overtime at home. So you get your home win. You get a top 25 Harvard team, or a preseason ranked top 25 Harvard team, and you beat them. Okay? Then you come back, and you play UVA, number 2 in the country. This is your spoil game. You can do whatever you want. You're at home. You're coming off a win, big time, and you play them great. The entire game, you keep an All-American, the best player on UVA's team, to 0 points from the field. 0. 0 points from the field. You keep him. He scores 9 points off of free throws. That's fantastic. He is the only, and he's not a big man. He's a small forward, power forward player, so you can put him in that category. He is the only big man we've shut down this year. It's disgusting. It's sad, because he's probably the best one we've played. It didn't make any sense, and we ended up losing by what? 15?
They were close. They were down by 3 at the half.
We had down by 3 at the half, and I think we had them within 4 with 4 minutes to go, if I'm not mistaken. We were faced with a team. I mean, I'm going to keep going down the schedule before I go.
Right.
Okay. Then we go to Syracuse. We play in the big Carrier Dome, a place where we upset number 1 Syracuse last year and really get smoked the entire game. We always do that little. Here's what we do. When we play at home, we play that first half like no one's watching, and we play like a top 25 team. Now, do we play like a top 25 team? No. But we hold these top 25 teams to playing like us. I'm going to use that example. That's better.
Right.
We keep them. We're playing a team that we can be competitive with. That's what we do. And I'm happy with that. That's great. And then we go into halftime, and then I don't know what happens. Either the other coach just berates the team and says, honestly, it's Boston College. And they're like, you know what, that makes sense. And then comes out and beats us by 15. Or Jim Christian goes in the locker room, gives everybody a handshake and a hug, says, great job. We won this game. And you go out and you're like, we have another half to play. I don't know what happens in the second half at home, but honestly, if I was a fan, I would walk out at halftime and be like, you know what, that was a good game. That was a good game. And that's it. Do I stay for every game? Do I stay every minute? Yes. Because I need to watch this team. I'll go over the logistics of it in a second. But regardless, that Virginia game, we can't close. And then we go on the road. Here's my other point. When we go on the road, we play atrocious in the first half. Honestly, everyone's sleepwalking. We can't hit a shot. We can't play defense. We went down, I think it was, Syracuse opened up 17-2 when we played there. And I was like, this is disgusting. And then the second half, we wake up and we're like, you know what, let's play this team competitively, because we can. And then we get within 4 and then we lose. Or we blow it at that point. So after Syracuse, we went down to Georgia Tech, a team that had 0 ACC wins just like us, and we beat them. Guess who Georgia Tech is in front of now? It's us. Because they have 2 ACC wins. Because they can play teams competitively down the stretch. They played Duke like no other in Cameron. Did they get the win? No. But they played, the way we played Cameron was disgusting. The Georgia Tech game, we won because Georgia Tech didn't show up. So we don't have a win in ACC play, in my opinion. I was pumped that we got the win, but it was more a Georgia Tech loss. Then we come home for Louisville, Wednesday night game, and again, tied at the half, maybe down by 2 at the half, maybe up by 2 at the half. And then we shut down Montrezl Harrell. Old Montrezl can't score.
I mean, he came on in the second half.
I know. That's my
okay,
point.
I'm sorry, yeah.
you said it. He comes out in the second half. He was getting harassed the whole first half. Comes out in the second half and threw like 3 dunks in our faces.
Yeah.
That's what he did. And Louisville's guard play, I mean, every single time, same guy pulled up, hit a shot. We don't recognize trends. We go into the game, like yesterday, we went into the game where we shut down Hakeem Christmas because every single time he got the ball, we brought a double team. That's great, all fine and dandy, but guess what? When you shut down Hakeem Christmas, there's 4 other players on the court. There's 5 on the court, you shut down 1, now there's 4. And they all can score. So when your defense lapses and you realize, hey, guess what? We did a great job in shutting down this guy. You have to have adjustments for the other people who are scoring. It's common sense. It's common sense. We go into the game with a defensive set in mind to shut down a certain player or a certain stud, and that's great and that's fine and that's dandy. But when we get that done, other people step up to the plate. That's what we don't have on our team. That's the problem with our team. People shut down Olivier Hanlon. Let's give the ball to Aaron Brown. Aaron Brown will drive every time. Sure, he'll make it sometimes, but Aaron Brown isn't going to carry you to a victory when that's all you have. And that's what we do. They shut down Olivier. It's like, game over. Game over. Olivier just broke the 1,500 point barrier, like the 15th player in BC history, and he's only a junior, to break this barrier, and I guarantee 5 people on campus know it. So that's what upsets me with that. Then we played at Clemson, so you know what happened. We came out slow. We were down by 6 at the half, and that's because Clemson couldn't find the rim if they tried. We had 12 points at the half, I think. And then just got smoked in the second half, too. Went to Notre Dame, was down 34-12 at one point. I literally almost threw my laptop through the wall during my perspectives class. We come back in the second half, cut it to 4 points, and then ended up losing. Then we come home for North Carolina. Nice Saturday game, big crowd, great, all fine and dandy. Again, it's tied at the half, and then just blew it. Because their no-name center went on an absolute tear. Because we don't have any inside presence. And then we played Syracuse at home. 75-25 Syracuse to BC fans. It was doomed from the start. And we shut down Hakeem Christmas. That's great. But there's 4 other players on the team on the court. And they destroyed us. Again, down by 4 at the half. And we lost by 15, 14, 16, something like that. And here's why. We do not have a big man. And it kills me. It kills me. Dennis Clifford is 7'1". And he couldn't guard me. He could. I'm kidding. I'm being a little facetious. But he is not an ACC center. And I'm okay with that. Just because you're 7'1".
You're okay with that?
I'm okay with that. Because
I sat behind you. You're not okay with that.
I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with that. I'm okay with that in the fact that, honestly, in my opinion, he got lucky. He got lucky to get chosen by a D1 school that's in the ACC, but he's not a D1 center. He could be at a lower tier school, but not in the ACC. He can't handle the talent. Like him on Jahlil Okafor. I mean, you want to know what happened this year? I guarantee Jahlil probably dropped 15 in his face, and I know for a fact Dennis got called for a technical foul because he was annoyed. He is not strong enough. He is not tough enough. He doesn't have the hand-eye coordination. Him or Will McGarity. Or John Kane Carney. Or anybody. The only one I have hope for is Edey, and I've heard he may not even be that good. I don't know the truth behind that. But he is probably the strongest out of those 4 guys. And he's a freshman. and he tore his labrum, so he's out for the season. So he's going to redshirt, hopefully.
Is that officially he's done for the whole season?
I don't know. Yeah, I know he's done for the season, I think. He's missed. I'm pretty sure he's out for the season. Regardless, we have another year of Dennis Clifford, and he has to realize he's either got to step up or he's honestly reached his potential. He has to realize one of the two, and Christian has to realize one of the two. He has to realize that next year, if Clifford is still in the lineup and Edey's ready to go, and Edey's stronger, more talented, you have to put him over him. You have to win games. That's your primary concern. Forget feelings. Forget the fact that he has seniority. He has done absolutely nothing for this team this year. He has not won a game for the team this year. He was out all last season, and it kills me that Lonnie Jacks is hurt this year. It kills me because we could really use him. And honestly, if Christian, it's the same thing that happened with football. Imagine this football season without Tyler Murphy. Imagine this basketball season without Aaron Brown or Dimitri Batten. We don't win the Georgia Tech game. We don't win Harvard. We probably don't win New Mexico, and we are looking at a worse season than last season. So those fifth-year guys, as inconsistent as they are at times, and Dimitri Batten's street skills of wanting to fight every single player on the court, which I do enjoy, but like last night, flagrant foul for no apparent reason in a game where you're down by 7. Once you flagrant somebody, I mean, it was like 8 minutes to go. I literally turned around, looked up, and I said, "That's the game. That's it." Because right there, that was 2 free throws and the ball back, and they scored. So that's 4 points. Now it's 11. You have to be smart too, but I do love those fifth-year seniors just because they have kept us in the game this year. And honestly, I didn't watch much of BC last season, so I can't compare. I did watch a couple games. I honestly think Olivier has decreased, and I think that. I think that because of the people around him. That's my opinion on Olivier. I think he's still a great player. I mean, he put up 30 points in North Carolina. He put up last night. He broke into the 1,500 barrier. He is the offense, and he's still a great player. But unfortunately for him, his draft stock was higher at the end of last season than it will be at this season because of the people around him, and he can't get the job done because people don't produce for him. He can drive down the lane all day and kick it out to Heckman, but he's still going to miss the 3 50% of the time. That's the problem. I mean, not 50%, 70% of the time. The numbers are inconsistent for him. And it's unfortunate because I think he's one of the best point guards in the ACC. He's playing in the toughest league for point guards. I mean, with the likes of Tyus Jones and Jerry and Grant, I mean, it's tough. It is tough to be a point guard in this league. And I think he's doing a great job because of it, but he's not going to lead a team because he has no one around him. When you don't have a man, like last night they played, stack the middle, get the ball in the middle, and kick it out. Every time. Dennis Clifford drove one time last night. There were so many times he gets the ball at the foul line, and Akeem Christmas would literally be standing under the basket begging him to take a free throw type shot. And he'd do it. Clank. And Dennis Clifford had his career high last night just because Akeem Christmas dared him to take that shot every time. And he was so inconsistent with it. If you have a center that people actually respect, he had no respect for any center last night. And he just toyed around with them. He didn't have a great game, but he toyed around them because he literally was like, "You're seriously throwing me against these guys." That was the point that he was trying to make. That's why Clifford had so many opportunities last night. And that's my point. Clifford is not an ACC center. He's not. He never will be. After watching this season, I had he's probably the tallest center in the ACC. And
He's up there.
Unfortunately, he just doesn't have the talent. He didn't have the talent in high school. He was recruited by University of Hartford and BU. I mean, Holy Cross too, probably. Because he's a Massachusetts kid, and BC gave him a chance because of his height. And they realized, and I think Christian realizes now, if he doesn't, I just can't understand why, that he can't get the job done. He can't board. Our offensive and defensive rebounding is terrible. And I like McGarity over him in the fact that McGarity can score, but McGarity only scores behind the 3-point line, so who's your center? You don't have one. You have a point guard, a shooting guard, 2 small forwards, and a power forward when McGarity's in. McGarity tries to go down low and battle, but he realizes he can't take these guys either, because not only is he smaller than Clifford, he's the same toughness and weight structure as him. They probably lift the same. I pretty much can guarantee that. It's when you don't have a big man, you can't win ACC basketball. You can't board. And when you don't have a star-studded point guard, I think Olivier is going to play in the NBA. But when you don't have a star-studded point guard that can do it yourself, I mean, you have to have people around you. If you put Tyus Jones alone on Duke, Duke's not a number 4 team in the country if you don't have Okafor. If Okafor is your only player and you don't have Tyus Jones, I don't think Duke's number 4 in the country either. You have to have that secondary guy, and unfortunately for Olivier Hanlon, he doesn't have it. He had it last year in the one guy, I don't remember his name, I don't know if you could help me with it. I think it was Ryan Anderson. Ryan Anderson.
He transferred to Arizona.
Yeah, because he's playing in a top-tier school now.
Yeah.
And he had him. And was BC good? No, because Ryan Anderson wasn't elite. But at least he had somebody. He had somebody down low who could score. You can never, ever, ever during the game trust Clifford or McGarity to score for you. And the only time McGarity is shooting is when he's behind the 3-point line, which means no one can board. The only one who gets boards is Olivier and Heckman. And unfortunately for Heckman, as much as I like him, he's very inconsistent. Down the stretch, he won't score for you. He will miss layups. He will miss jumpers. In the beginning of the game, he's great. Oh, everybody loves Heckman. But he doesn't get he's not consistent for you. Aaron Brown, he probably takes the most shots in the team, and that's why he usually has the most points day in and day out. But he can have inconsistent days too. And Dimitri Batten is just a defensive specialist in my mind. Doesn't really put up much points. Doesn't really do much to generate offense. You just put him on the best player and just piss him off. That's what he does usually. Him and Tokudo almost threw down the UNC game. I was pumped. That's what he does. But when he's on the court, he's not going to generate anything for you. And if you want to go a step further, Odio, who's your other big man, all he can do is block. He's good for 1 block a game, and then he'll come down the court and travel or double dribble. And it's like, there you go, it evens out. Take a seat on the bench. It's just when you don't have a big man, you can't win. Sure, you can win a few games, but in my opinion, Olivier's not good enough without Lonnie Jackson to win a few games in the ACC. And that's the problem. When you look at the schedule this year, I don't think they're going to beat Miami. I don't. And I usually have good feelings about this. They're going to go to Florida State on the road. I don't think they're going to do it. I think their only win this year is going to come at home. I think they're going to lose at Florida State. I think they're going to lose at Pitt. Pitt's one of the toughest places to play in the country. And I think they're going to lose at Virginia Tech. And neither of those teams they're all in the bottom half of the ACC. I think they will win one game against Notre Dame, NC State, or Wake Forest. It'll probably be Wake Forest, judging they're probably the worst at all of them, and it's at home. You could sneak a game against NC State easily, and you could upset Notre Dame because Notre Dame's suddenly on the decline out of nowhere. So it's definitely possible, but, I mean, I've come to terms with the fact that the team this year is not good. They're not. They're not good in the fact that when you recruit one person, we only have one freshman on the team. And your other recruits, I mean, from 2013, I think Owens, I didn't even talk about Owens. Owens can jump a mile high and can slam it down wherever you want him to. But is he going to be that person that's going to generate offense to the ball? No. But I think he's a person that should play more. I think he should play a lot more. I love Garland Owens. Then you have the other guy who sits on the bench. I can't think of his name. He came in with, I think it's number 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Number 2, yeah, Daryl Hicks.
Daryl Hicks, another guy who recruited Saints the same year as Owens, both sophomores, he isn't playing because he injured himself. So overall, the team is in shambles. Without the 2 fifth years, I can't even imagine what would happen. And overall, it's a rebuilding process. It is. And apparently we have some semi-decent recruits coming in because you're going to have to replace Heckman, you're going to have to replace Brown, you're going to have to replace Batten as your starters. You can keep Clifford, whatever, I don't care. Keep him. You're going to have another year of losing. And honestly, if I'm Olivier Hamlin, I stay for my senior year because your draft stock just dropped through the roof. But knowing him, who would want to play during a rebuilding year? I don't know. So that's kind of my opinion on the team right now. I just don't think we have the talent to do it in the ACC. I think we should win more games. I think we should at least win 3 games in the ACC for the next coming years. Having 1 win this year, not getting 3 to 4 wins in the ACC is kind of pathetic. It is. And I remember being a kid, Boston College used to be one of the elite programs. Used to. And I don't know what's happened. I don't know if the Donahue era killed it. That's what a lot of people are saying. I think Christian's a good coach, but he has shown, and it's not his talent, don't get me wrong, but he hasn't been able to flip the team at all. I mean, it's the same record under Donahue. It could be even worse. But through this season, he's shown that, he hasn't done anything. And honestly, with the players, would I expect him to? No. That's my opinion. I just don't think the talent is good enough to win the ACC. And it stinks. It stinks. I think they should be a spoiler team at least.
All right. Let me see if I can combat with a few points here. We'll rattle them off. We got about 3 minutes left, folks.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, actually, I'll go in reverse order so we can kind of keep it fresh in people's mind.
Yep.
First off, I think elite, and that's just a phonetics thing. I don't think we were ever an elite program. I think we were scratching the tournament surface, a lower
I'm fine
team.
with that, yeah.
I think I agree with you, Donahue. Just being here and growing up and watching it. We had Jared Dudley, we had Tyrese Rice, who didn't do anything but Greece. He went and played Greece. Sean Williams. We had a few good players
Troy
here
Bell.
and there who developed while they were here, and it was a pretty good program. But I didn't. At least for me, I didn't come into school expecting anything from the basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go up to Olivier Hanlon. Look, he's good. He's really, really good. 1,500 points is incredible.
Right.
And I think this is going to be an unpopular opinion, especially around this campus, but he's not an NBA guy to me. He'll get drafted. Hopefully he'll get drafted. There are only 2 rounds to the NBA draft. He's not going to succeed. I think that, for one, if you're an NBA player, or you're an NBA caliber player, even if you're the only guy on your roster, you're going to be able to win games, And I don't think he alone has that ability. In terms of his drop-off this year, I don't think it's because of poorer play on his part. I think not having Ryan Anderson is definitely an issue for him.
Yeah.
But I will say that I think teams now know who he is, and I think they've paid more attention to him this year. And you saw when
that was
in the Louisville game when we played him tight, it was because so much focus was on him.
Yep. And he didn't score much in that game, but he generated so much offense to the other guys who have to do stuff. And that's the thing. That was the thing with when we shut down one player on their team. What do? They give the ball to another player.
Right.
We can't do that.
No, we don't have another player.
That's the problem.
Which brings me to the point of just in terms of depth, I honestly, and this is just, I have a negative view of the basketball team. I don't enjoy the basketball team here. I really don't. I'm not a huge basketball fan. I cannot stand the NBA, frankly. I don't enjoy watching it. I think it's overhyped. I think there's no defense. It's a bunch of guys who don't care about playing the game because they've got big fat checks in front of them. I love college basketball. Yeah. Around tournament time this year, I've gotten into it earlier, but I didn't come in here being enough of a basketball team, but a basketball fan, and I think this is the way it is with a lot of people. I didn't come in here being enough of a basketball fan to want to get behind a team as poor as we are. Okay? I think that Garland Owens is legitimately the only player off the bench that is worthy of playing.
Agreed.
We're dealing with a 6-man rotation.
Agreed.
There are 6 people that can play.
Yeah.
Which brings me to
I completely agree with you.
Clifford. Clifford, all right. I think that Christensen knows that Clifford isn't good. That's fine. McGarity,
Well, I mean,
he's
I know.
not good either. I don't think
know.
he's keeping him out there as loyalty to Clifford because he's a hometown guy for any of those reasons. I legitimately don't think there's another option on this roster.
There
The
isn't.
fact that we want to try to classify Eddie Odio as a big man, he's not. He's not. There isn't a big man. There are big men, but there is not a big man among them. I don't think we're competitive in the ACC. I don't think we're going to be competitive in the ACC. I have a hard time getting frustrated over this team. And if that makes me like a horrible fan of this team, I can't care enough. We're one win this season, are likely to finish one win in the ACC this season. The best part of being a BC basketball fan is going to all these games for free to see great teams come in and play against us.
It's true.
And I'm not as enough of a basketball connoisseur to really that doesn't drive me that much. Okay. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. In terms of Olivier coming back next year, I hope he does. I think he will. I just don't think he's a big enough prospect to actually be able to leave this year and get like a good draft status. But I don't think like him not coming back would be a product of this next year being a rebuilding year. I don't think we can classify as a rebuilding year because I don't think we're going to rebuild, and I don't think there's not going to be like some grand restock of players.
We got 3 this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and even with those 3, I just like the chances that all 3 of them are going to come in and be ready to play. That just doesn't happen. This is D1 basketball. You're playing in the ACC. In my mind, the next 4 years of basketball, for me at least, are not about watching. Like, if we get an upset here and there, that's fantastic. That's more than I could ask for, because there's just really, I mean, like, it's a bleak thing to say, but I just don't have hope for this team going forward. I just don't. There's nothing impresses me about this team. It's just a subpar basketball team. We're the Kentucky of SEC football, or the Vanderbilt and Kentucky of ACC basketball. Mm-hmm. We are the bottom of the barrel. We're undoubtedly the worst team in the ACC.
Agreed.
But at the same time, the ACC was always like the best conference, and now we've brought in Louisville and Syracuse. Syracuse isn't having a great year, but Louisville's a top 10 team.
Syracuse will be back next year.
Syracuse will be back.
Top 4
Yeah,
class in the
Syracuse is going to be back. UVA was not always great. They were more middle of the pack, but in the past couple of years, they've come on. I've watched a series of UVA games this year, not playing us. They're one of the most impressive defensive teams I've seen in a while, and that's something that any level of basketball
that's a product
has
of their coach. Tony Bennett's one of the best coaches in the nation. Definitely.
So, in my mind, we're not moving up in the ACC. That's just not happening. We're a bottom of the barrel ACC team, and I don't think recruiting is going to pick up. I mean, like, it'll pick up a little bit just by the nature that Christensen's a big name guy, and that's great.
Yep.
But we're just not built to compete against these teams. I don't think we will.
My view on this is I come from a school that didn't have a football team.
Yeah.
I played on the baseball team, and our track team was number 1 in the nation. But
really?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
We're the number 1 track team in the nation.
That's
Union
incredible.
Catholic. Yeah. We did not call ourselves Union. We should have. That was Union. Union was like down the street. Regardless, the town Union. They were the U.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had the same symbol. Anyway, so basketball was all we had to go to. We took a lot of pride in volleyball too, girls volleyball. But basketball was something I called the games my senior year. Junior year, sophomore year, and freshman year, I was basically at every single one. I loved the basketball team. And my friends did too. We'd go to every game. We'd go absolutely insane. And I'm just...
It's disheartening.
It's... honestly, the basketball games in my high school were more exciting than here. And it's a product of... I mean, I work for athletics, so if you have any ideas, let me know. But... our job is to get people to come to games, and the problem is, and we're trying, and we're getting ridiculed, and people can rip us all they want for promotions, and you can do whatever you want and say whatever you want. It doesn't mean anything, because in the end, people are going to show up if your team is good. That's it. Nobody wants to come see the number one, the worst team in the ACC. Nobody. And the only people, you are lucky that we play in the ACC because they have the biggest following across the country. And that's why
It's
last
incredible.
night,
It is
last
incredible.
night, if you took out the Syracuse fans, you would have had the students and a couple diehards.
It's incredible how
North Carolina.
we are.
I mean,
game.
I am so scared for the Notre Dame game because I guarantee
we're gonna get blown out of the water. No doubt.
I guarantee 80-20.
Well, and you have Pat Connaughton, who's a local kid.
Yep.
He's from Danvers. There's just no way that we compete with the Notre Dame section
I
in
mean,
our own stadium.
Virginia showed up and filled the top tiers with orange.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's,
Louisville. Syracuse was, I expected that just because they have such a big following. And the thing is, these schools are so much bigger that I understand it. So, like, let's use, like, Indiana, for example. Again, my friend goes there. You have to enter a lottery for each and every game. We have the luxury of sitting courtside every single game. You don't understand how good we have it. But our team doesn't win.
Yeah, but if our team started winning and people started coming, we wouldn't have it that good anymore.
You still would.
Oh, I don't think so. That student section can't hold, like, an actual following.
If we were, just say we were number one team in the nation, I guarantee we would have the gold pass for people trying to get in for maybe one game.
I don't know.
Okay.
All right, we're going to
Yeah.
cut off now?
Sure.